disfigured in a car accident. Man was gearing up for a life-changing face transplant surgery. While the doctors were discussing the procedure, an intern suddenly burst into laughter.
Holy crap. Lowell is right.
The man, though easygoing, felt a bit hurt. After considering the plan, they decided to proceed with the surgery. However, the two interns couldn't hold back their laughter once again.
That's it. Both of you in the hall now.
Finally, the doctor had had enough and gave them a stern talking to in the corridor. Just then, a group of people arrived at the hospital with flowers, but the man became angry upon seeing them.
Get them out. They're strangers. I don't want them in here. Get out! Get out!
As it turned out, these people were the man's online friends. He was afraid they would find his appearance repulsive, so he pretended to be angry and drove them away. Seeing his emotional state, the group reluctantly left. The doctors reassured him his friends wouldn't mock him and were genuinely friendly. Given the risky nature of the upcoming surgery, it was better to meet with them before the operation. In the end, the man compromised. The doctor carefully peeled off the face, preparing it for transplantation onto the man. The man was overjoyed he wouldn't have to endure the curious looks and whispers anymore. However, this kind of surgery had only been performed 4 times worldwide. It was incredibly challenging and dangerous. Before the surgery, his online friends came to visit him.
If I reject the donor face, I'll be ugly.
Please don't call my dear friend ugly.
The hot girl planted a friendly kiss on his cheek, causing tears to well up in the man's eyes. The surgery commenced. They gingerly removed the donor's facial skin, sanitized it in water, then excised the damaged portion from the man's face. They then meticulously placed the intact facial skin in position, aligning it with his nose, eyes, and other features, proceeding with the delicate suturing process. Thankfully, the surgery proceeded without a hitch, and the facial skin was successfully transplanted. A month later, as they unveiled his face from the bandages, a handsome and charismatic visage greeted him in the mirror. At that moment, the cat demon was also brought to the hospital, leaving the doctors exclaiming 666 in disbelief. The doctors were puzzled, wondering why he had gone to such lengths to change his appearance. It turns out his girlfriend loved cats and demanded he transform himself into one. However, shortly after his cosmetic surgery, she developed a liking for dogs and demanded he change into a dog. Unable to bear it any longer, the man decided to break up with his girlfriend. He had been holed up for 6 months without going out. Finally, he ventured out today to clear his mind. The woman kept staring at him, which led to an accident that also injured a boy. Feeling guilty, the man went to apologize to the boy. As the boy slowly opened his eyes,
Hey, what are you doing here?
the doctor yanked an FBL from the boy's nose, leaving him utterly astonished. As the boy fiercely resisted, another doctor approached, commanding,
Stop!
The boy immediately complied, and from his nostril, they extracted a firefighter. The following day, the boy experienced breathing difficulties once again, and this time, they retrieved a fire truck. As Dr. House gazed at these 3 peculiar items, a sudden realization struck him. He fetched an electric magnet and slowly inserted it into the young boy's nostril. What emerged was a silver cat, meticulously crafted from pure gold. It turns out the boy was attempting to rescue the tiny cat inside his nose. The boy's determination was truly awe-inspiring. Surgery was a success, but do you have any idea why this guy pulled such a stunt? This little girl is quite extraordinary. She used a stapler to close up her wound. When the doc asked who messed with her,
I did!
Doc wasn't buying it, so she straight up yanked the staples out of her wound, and even bit them off.
There. Can I go now?
That didn't even hurt.
The girl glanced around, saw no one, motioned for the doc to lean in.
I have superpowers, okay?
Doc was even more baffled. Doc started thinking it might be some child abuse situation, but a black doc advised him not to jump to conclusions. She suggested doing a cold press test on the girl. Doc brought in a basin of ice water, but the little one thought it was overkill. Reluctantly, the doc joined her, putting his hand into the ice water. As time ticked away, their hands turned red from the cold, but the girl didn't bat an eye. Meanwhile, the doc wore a pained expression and couldn't help but pull his hand out. Turns out, the girl's got a condition where she can't feel pain, not a single bit. The boy finally got his new hands. A gentle touch by the doctor, and the man's toe snapped off. An hour ago, the intern doctor was doing routine rounds, and was surprised to find that the patient scheduled for surgery the next day was ignoring the preoperative fasting instructions, and still eating fries. The surgery had to be postponed. When the doctor was examining, a strange, foul smell filled the air. The doctor lightly touched the blackened toe, and the necrotic toe directly fell to the ground. The chubby man was scared, and ready to complain to the attending doctor, only to be told that it was gangrene. The surgery was meant to amputate the entire foot. Despite his fear, the chubby man still asked,
"What do you think they got for dessert?"
His amputated left foot soaked in a jar, and the doctor bought a pizza to apologize to the chubby guy. However, he wasn't a fan of pineapple pizza.
All right. Give it to the nurses then.
You leave with that pizza, and I'll put one of your feet in the jar.
Do you like pineapple pizza? After a manicure, poor girl ended up losing her arm. After a deluxe manicure package, she noticed an infection in her fingers. Dr. Sean removed the abscess, but the slightest touch brought unbearable pain. He sensed something wasn't right. If anesthesia didn't ease the pain, it meant bone pain. He suspected necrotizing fasciitis and suggested testing by sampling. However, the female doctor opposed the idea, worried it could cause permanent damage to the fingers of the girl. A talented violinist, Sean persistently advised the girl to undergo testing, but both of them brushed off his concerns. Meanwhile, the girl's temperature kept rising, indicating a more serious condition. Eventually, a sample was taken for testing, confirming Sean's diagnosis. Urgent surgery was needed, with hopes of saving the girl's hand, but the outlook was bleak. The necrotic tissue emitted a foul odor resembling rotten eggs. To save her life, doctors had no choice but to amputate. In the hospital room, the female doctor, burdened with guilt, sat by the girl's side as she slowly regained consciousness.
It's your fault. Get the hell out.
First, the left leg is removed, then the right leg is attached. Thus the mermaid is born. It was discovered the man had a sarcoma in his left pelvic bone. He was given a mere 2 years to live. The only available treatment was to amputate the affected area. However, he adamantly rejected the surgery, fearing a life dependent on crutches. In a unique twist, the female doctor proposed an unconventional solution, amputating the man's healthy right leg, affixing it at the midpoint, to maintain body balance. Surprisingly, the man agreed to this unconventional procedure. Soon, he was wheeled into the operating room. The surgical team commenced by removing his left leg, extracting the diseased bone. Subsequently, they detached his healthy right leg, skillfully sewing it at the midpoint, secured screws into the bones. The first artificial mermaid, a massive 800-pound tumor on the boy's face. He's been hopping around different hospitals for years, but no one had the guts to take on the surgery. Then, he ends up in the hospital where Dr. Grace works. But the head honcho and Grace ain't seeing eye to eye. The big boss wants to play it safe, cut out a bit, but Grace is having none of that. She calls out the boss for just caring about the hospital's rep. Cause if the surgery flops, they could be in for a lawsuit. Grace sticks to her guns and insists on chopping the whole dang tumor.
I'm not!
Harper Avery had everything. Except decency.
A man claimed he was pregnant.
I've been able to feel it getting bigger and bigger. You're growing in my womb.
The doctors were unbelievable and conduct some tests. Astonishingly, the pregnancy test displayed 2 lines. They even heard fetal movements. The man became a medical marvel at the hospital, drawing doctors from various specialties eager to examine him. Journalists swarmed in to report on this unprecedented case. Following a CT scan, it was revealed actual human tissue was present inside the man's abdomen.
Jeez, are those teeth?
It turned out to be a teratoma.
You have what's called a teratoma. Now it's growing.
Yeah, growing jawbones and toenails into clumps of hair.
The man's pregnancy case sent shockwaves through the entire hospital, with an additional fee required for those wishing to witness his surgery. When the massive 10-pound teratoma was successfully removed, the observation area was flooded with people snapping photos to commemorate this extraordinary event.